Hello indie game fans, if you were a 90s kid and were playing shooters that were perhaps beyond your recommended age range, then I'm sure that you have an appreciation for the retro FPS, so here are the best upcoming titles with a nice mix of playable early access games and promising in-development titles. Let's begin with the impending 1.0 release of Wrath, Aeon of Ruin, powered by Quick 1 technology, so it sure is a throwback. In early access since 2019, it just got its last major content patch before launch, planned for summer this year, and has already had a great reception, being the prime example of games I'm talking about. Diluvian Ultra does have quite the strange atmosphere, being set in a living ship made out of flesh, where you wield everything from swords, guns and magic staves. You play as Attila the Undead King, where this ship is actually your tomb, and you are awakened by unknown enemy forces who are after the secret Book of Life. Something that I thought was interesting in the design is that this game forces you to change weapons, not unlike modern Doom, where enemies are armoured and only certain weapons can break the armour, and does also have an almost OG Doom-like aesthetic for the enemies, making it look awesome. One of the most interesting in-development titles is Boomerang X, which, as the name proposes, is focused solely on one weapon in a cross-shaped boomerang. It's an arena action title where you face off against increasingly difficult waves of enemies, where the boomerang grants you powers like teleportation, bullet time and more, perhaps sharing more in common with something like Devil Daggers, but looks great nonetheless. Publisher New Blood Interactive is known for this exact genre, most famously known for Dusk, where an upcoming title under that banner is Gloomwood. I'm not knocking this game at all by putting it at this position, since it's leaning more towards a stealth immersive sim like Thief, Deus Ex, or more recently, Dishonored, so not exactly the fast-paced retro shooter, but it does have a lovely retro aesthetic nonetheless, which is very nostalgic. Based on the pedigree alone, this should be excellent, so please wishlist this for now. If you talk about retro, Exophobia has to be mentioned, looking also classic in design like Wolf 3D or Doom, especially due to the position of the weapon in the middle of the screen. While not smack dab in the center of the screen, everything from the enemy sprites, action and level design looks retro, making it for fans of the genre. You are trapped on board a spaceship filled with alien soldiers, having to uncover the mystery of what happened to the inhabitants, with what looks like a nice variety of weapons and even a weapon upgrade system.
Took you long enough, new guy. Nightwave sent you? You should have seen the look on their faces when they blew my cover. At least I had a little fun toying with them while I waited on you.
Add one more New Blood Interactive published title with Fallen Aces, a gritty crime noir title set in what looks like a very 1920s or 30s looking era where the mob is in control.
I'm gonna throttle you.
It has a wonderful comic book art style, looking very much like Archer or 13 from 2003, so retro in another way but no less intriguing.
Come on, we can.
One of the most promising retro first-person shooters in development is Core Decay, a sci-fi entry that has a modern retro quality to it, where you explore various facilities across a dying Earth to uncover a plot, wanting to save humanity no matter the cost. Unsurprisingly, this is being published by 3D Realms, which is another major player in the space, but the company does actually date back to 1987, so of course they know their retro. A little bit more of an immersive sim twist here, but a no-brainer for the look alone. If you're looking for the retro low-poly art style, then you cannot go without mentioning Effigy, a self-styled FPS Metroidvania set on a prison moon. Something has gone terribly wrong and the inmates now run the asylum, where you need to explore and survive, find new weapons and upgrades, and ultimately kill the god that this cult is worshipping. The idea of a first-person Metroidvania is not new, but surprisingly is not that common, so it's interesting to see a new take on it, although the visuals are certainly targeted at a specific type of person. I do think that is awesome though, so hopefully the early access launch will be sooner rather than later. One of the most stylish titles in development is Hellscreen, which got my attention ever since I came across it, primarily due to the colour scheme, and appears to have a firm release in September this year. The most interesting aspect is that this game straight up gives you a rear view mirror, as if you were driving in a car, using the HO warning, objects in mirror are closer than they appear, so expect plenty of frantically spinning around when enemies creep up on you. It has you fighting gods and demons in a digital hellscape known as the Hellscreen dimension, so a classic setting mixed with cyber technology makes it pretty cool. Another classically grimdark title is Dread Templar, where you play as the titular character and enter hell seeking revenge. Of course, that means slaying a whole bunch of demons and fiends, not unlike the Doom, with an awesome retro look and is not to be missed. It does mix in modern elements such as headshots and bullet time with the old school graphics, giving it a different feel, and of course does feel more similar to modern retro titles like Dusk. This is also being published by 1C Entertainment, who are the publisher of Wrath Aeon of Ruin covered earlier, completing the unholy trinity of publishers in the space, all of which are doing fantastic work. Alright, just 2 more titles to go, beginning with the insanely fast Ultra Kill, currently in Steam Early Access, but has already garnered quite a bit of momentum. The combo meter on screen wants you to slay enemies as quickly as possible, but the movement and action in this looks blazingly fast, and interestingly enough, the fanbase has somehow rallied behind the robot protagonist, which is not exactly identifiable, but I'm glad that this has taken off. Early access is planned to conclude at the end of this year, but already a fantastic title that I can recommend. Man, I've been looking forward to Proteus ever since I came to know of it, so I was pretty pleased to see that it did not disappoint with the early access launch last year. Another modern retro entry, I love how this has that pseudo pixel art look, which, combined with the gorgeous lighting effects and powerful feeling weapons, does make it a treat for the eyes. It has been getting steady updates and patches since launch, with community building efforts such as a map making contest, so plenty to love and a good title to dive in. Early access should be completed sometime in 2021 as well, but for the look alone, it takes the #1 spot. If you love dark and brutal action but want something a little more deliberate, check out this video on Souls-like games, and I will see you after the jump.